Hello, I'm Nick, obviously. But what I'm about to tell you is something new, so please, I want your full attention and silence. Thank you. I have a mental disorder called Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's. That's Asperger apostrophe S syndrome. It falls under the autism spectrum disorder. Before I go into what it does, I'll explain the events leading up to it. As a kid, it took me really long to find clothes. When I went to the store, it took me 40 minutes approximately to find 2 pairs of pants. And shoes were like the bane of my existence. It took me up to 4 hours in 3 stores just to find a pair of shoes that I enjoyed. Even after spending that much time looking for clothes, I still wore most of my clothes inside out. With my disorder comes rage. Blinding rage. In a preschool, I was having a tantrum over something probably stupid, and the teachers there didn't want me to have an outrage since it was La Petite, which is like a private school or something. So she tried restraining me behind by giving like this hug thing, but I hated being restrained from behind. So I wound up kicking behind me like a donkey as hard as I could, and I heard a yelp. I got suspended that day, but a couple years later I found out that I had given her a hairline fracture in her shin. It's pretty crazy. In kindergarten, I was at the same school because it was a really good school for me at the time. A girl walked up to me and tried yanking a triceratops from my hands. I lost it. I got so mad in an instant like that I chucked the thing at her like it was a silver bullet heading towards a werewolf and struck her right in the face. I had to write 2 apology letters, one to the parent and one to the girl. And in 2nd grade, I was trying to be social with the kids out on the blacktop, and someone thought it was a bright idea to give the jump rope. We were playing helicopter at the time. I was like swing the jump rope around, jump over it, to this kid named David. David was, let's just say he didn't think very much. He decided to swing it around as fast as he could, fast enough to where it started like whistling through the wind. And I have horrible fine motor skills, so I couldn't react in time, so it whipped me right in the leg, and I dropped like a rock. But I kind of like unblacked out, if you will. When my fist was a couple centimeters away from his face, I heard a smack and thud, like those 2 noises mixed together, and a pain shot up my arm, and I saw him like, ugh, and he dropped and then ran off to a teacher, and I ran off to the wall freaking out because I was scared that I had just made a kid bleed. After all that had finished, I was in the front office. He had a gash deep enough, and the nurse said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have to get stitches, baby." Then he told me later, because we were somehow friends, he forgave me. He told me he had a small rupture in his eye. Oh, and get this, they called my mom and told her that they think I might be a psychopath because I showed no remorse. I didn't show any remorse because I was scared half to death that I had actually hurt someone that badly. In 3rd grade, right in the beginning of the year, my friend had officially disbanded me from our comic strip company that we ran in our elementary school. And I was infuriated because I was a founding father of the company, and I was the lead story developer. So I was infuriated, and like that, my anger went off, and I pulled an Ezio on him. Fortunately, the pencil I used was very dull, but unfortunately at the same time, I used to chew on the erasers, so the metal thing at the end was all pinched and sharp and stuff. So when I went ching, it cut here. So I got to interrupt my teacher's reading group, and she asked, "Fire, flood, or blood?" I'm like, "Yes, actually." And it's like, "Well, you actually managed to do that." So they sent me to the front office, and actually no one really cared because we were still friends, and Nico was like, no, it's fine. So I wasn't suspended or anything. In the 3rd grade, that's when things started getting better. I was first diagnosed with ADHD, but my aunt strongly suggested that I have an autism spectrum disorder, and we all trusted her because she works with autistic children at many schools. So finally, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And the way it happened is, like, my psychologist said to my mom, "I can put him down as an aspy, or I can give you a referral to a wh47, so they can spend 3 to 5 months testing if you do have an autism spectrum disorder." I had been diagnosed, so I was able to get medication to help me finally settle down and not be so angry. I also tend to seem to not care about things, but it is not that I don't care, it's that I know how to care in a way that shows people that I care. I don't show that kind of, thing because I see it as a stressful situation, so I try to distract myself so I don't get stressed by it. So people assume that I'm basically going, meh, what am I going to do about it? But that's really not what's going on at all. So I tend to be hyper aware a lot, so I hear and see a lot of things that most people wouldn't care about. Sometimes I can hear things within a 50-foot radius of me, and sometimes I see things without consciously noticing that I see them, so I tend to see a lot of coincidences. So, with knowing that, it may seem like I am psychic or something. People tend to think that I'm psychic or Sherlock Holmes. For example, Candace was sick once and she said it was food poisoning. So I asked her, "Did you have Papa John's?" Because she went to a party that night, or the night before, whatever. And she said, "How'd you know that?" And I knows she only gets food poisoning from Papa John's, so I'd assume that's the only way she would have gotten it this time. Thanks for watching this video, and always stay thinking, my friends. Bye-bye. What, am I supposed to do an outro here? There's your outro.